If your heart feels weary tonight, if rest seems like a distant dream, let these ancient words bring you into the peace that only God can give. Before we begin this journey together, I want you to know that what we're about to explore isn't just poetry or religious literature. These are living words, breathed by the Spirit, written by people who understood what it means to lie awake in the dark, to carry burdens too heavy for daylight, to wonder if morning will ever come. They discovered something profound in those midnight hours, something that has sustained believers for thousands of years. They found that God meets us in the stillness, that His presence transforms our darkest nights into sacred spaces of restoration. The Psalms we'll walk through tonight were penned by shepherds and kings, by worship leaders and warriors, by people who knew both triumph and terror. David, who wrote many of these psalms, spent nights under open skies watching over sheep, aware of every sound in the darkness, alert to dangers that prowled beyond the firelight. He knew what it meant to need protection, to long for rest, to seek safety in uncertain times. Later, when he wore a crown instead of shepherd's robes, when he led armies and governed nations, he still carried that shepherd's heart, that understanding of vulnerability and the desperate need for a protector greater than himself. His words resonate across millennia because they speak to something universal in the human experience: the longing for safety, for peace, for rest that reaches deeper than our physical exhaustion. Throughout history, these psalms have been whispered in prison cells and hospital rooms, in refugee camps and palace chambers. They've brought comfort to the dying and courage to the fearful. They've been the last words on countless lips and the first prayers of countless mornings. There's a reason for their enduring power. These words don't just describe rest. They usher us into it. They don't merely talk about peace. They create space for it to settle into our anxious hearts. When we read them slowly, when we let them sink beneath the surface of our conscious thoughts, something shifts. The frantic pace of our minds begins to slow. The tight grip of worry starts to loosen. We remember that we're not alone in the darkness, that we were never meant to carry our burdens through the night without help. Modern life assaults us with constant stimulation, endless information, perpetual connectivity. Our minds race with tomorrow's demands even as our bodies beg for today's rest. We lie in bed scrolling through screens, our brains lit up with blue light and anxiety, cortisol coursing through our systems when melatonin should be rising. We've forgotten how to let go, how to release control, how to trust that the world will continue turning without our vigilant oversight. The Psalms call us back to an ancient rhythm, a divine pattern established before electric lights and smartphones, before industrial schedules and 24-hour news cycles. They remind us that God designed us to need rest, that our limitations aren't flaws but features, that sleep isn't weakness but wisdom. When we struggle to sleep, we often battle against ourselves, fighting our body's need for rest with our mind's insistence on solving every problem tonight. We replay conversations, rehearse upcoming scenarios, calculate budgets and timelines, review regrets and disappointments. The darkness amplifies every anxiety, magnifies every fear, distorts every concern until small worries loom like insurmountable obstacles. This is when we need the Psalms most desperately, not as quick fixes or magic formulas, but as anchors for our drifting thoughts, as handholds on the cliffside of our fears. They redirect our focus from our circumstances to our Creator, from our limitations to His limitless power, from our exhaustion to His inexhaustible care. The sleep that God gives isn't just physical rest, though our bodies desperately need that too. It's restoration at the deepest level, a healing that happens when we finally stop striving and start trusting, when we cease our endless mental calculations and surrender to His sovereign care, when we acknowledge that we're finite creatures who need to power down, not infinite beings who can manage everything ourselves. This kind of rest requires faith, not just fatigue. It demands trust, not just tiredness. We have to believe that God is big enough to handle what we release to Him, faithful enough to watch over us while we sleep, loving enough to care about our needs as much as we do, actually more than we do. The journey we're beginning tonight will take us through some of the most beloved passages in all of Scripture. We'll linger in green pastures and walk beside still waters. We'll find shelter under divine wings and refuge in an eternal fortress. We'll discover what it means to lie down in peace, to wake sustained by God's presence, to cast every anxiety on the one who never sleeps. Each psalm offers a different facet of the same profound truth. We're safe in God's care. We're loved beyond measure. We can rest. As you settle into this time, I invite you to let go of any expectations or agendas. You don't need to memorize these verses or analyze their structure. You're not being tested on comprehension or graded on attention. This isn't about performance or perfection. It's simply about being present, about opening your heart to receive what God wants to give you tonight. Rest, peace, restoration. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. If you find yourself drifting towards sleep, welcome it. That's exactly what this time is for. God meets us in the surrender, in the letting go, in the trust that allows us to close our eyes and believe that He's got this, He's got us, He's got everything. Psalm 4, the Evening Prayer of Peace. Let's begin where evening prayers have begun for countless generations, with Psalm 4, a song of twilight trust. David wrote this as a companion to Psalm 3, creating bookends for the day, morning and evening, sunrise and sunset, waking and sleeping. If Psalm 3 is the morning psalm, addressing the challenges that dawn brings, then Psalm 4 is its evening counterpart, the prayer we breathe as darkness falls and we prepare to release consciousness into sleep's embrace. The context matters here. David was likely still fleeing from enemies, still vulnerable to attack, still uncertain about tomorrow. Yet listen to how he ends this psalm. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Think about that for a moment. A man with real enemies, facing genuine threats, hunted by people who wanted him dead, says he will lie down in peace. Not I hope to sleep or I'll try to rest despite my fears. He declares with confidence, I will lie down and sleep, in peace, because God alone makes me safe. This isn't naive optimism or denial of reality. David knew danger intimately. He'd faced lions and bears as a shepherd, giants as a warrior, treachery as a king. He understood that threats were real, that people could hurt him, that tomorrow might bring genuine crisis. Yet he'd discovered something that transcended his circumstances, something that reached deeper than his immediate situation. He'd learned that his safety didn't depend on the absence of enemies, but on the presence of God. That peace wasn't conditional on perfect conditions, but rooted in an unshakable relationship. That rest came not from controlling every variable, but from trusting the one who controls all things. The psalm begins with a plea. Answer me when I call to you, my righteous God. Give me relief from my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. Right away, we see David's honesty. He's in distress. He needs relief. He's not pretending everything is fine or putting on a brave face for public consumption. In the privacy of his relationship with God, he admits his need, acknowledges his vulnerability, asks for help. This sets the pattern for nighttime prayer. We don't come to God at the end of the day with our accomplishments and achievements, our carefully curated highlights and polished presentations. We come as we are, tired, worried, overwhelmed, uncertain. We tell him what's actually happening in our hearts, not what we think should be happening. David addresses God as my righteous God, using a phrase that appears nowhere else in Scripture. Some scholars suggest it could be translated God of my righteousness, emphasizing that David's right standing before God comes from God himself, not from David's own efforts or achievements. This is crucial for nighttime peace. If our acceptance by God depended on our performance, on getting everything right, on being good enough and doing enough, we'd never rest. We'd lie awake reviewing our failures, cataloging our mistakes, calculating whether we'd done enough to earn God's favor. But David roots his confidence in God's righteousness, God's character, God's faithful commitment to his people. This allows him to rest not in his own adequacy but in God's sufficiency. As the psalm continues, David addresses those who are causing him distress, asking how long they'll pursue foolish things, love delusions, seek false gods. But he doesn't dwell long on his enemies or their actions. Instead, he refocuses on what he knows to be true. Know that the Lord has set apart his faithful servant for himself. The Lord hears when I call to him. This is redirected thinking at its finest. Yes, there are people working against him. Yes, the situation is difficult. But more true than any of that, more real than any threat or challenge, is this: God has set him apart. God hears his prayers. God is attentive to his needs. This is the mental shift we need before sleep. Our circumstances might not change overnight. The problems we face today will likely still be there tomorrow. The people who trouble us won't suddenly become our allies just because we close our eyes. But we can choose where we focus our attention, what truths we rehearse as we drift towards sleep. We can acknowledge difficulties without being defined by them. We can recognize challenges without being consumed by them. We can see threats without being paralyzed by them. Because underneath everything else, more fundamental than any circumstance, is this bedrock reality. We belong to God. He sees us. He hears us. He's set us apart for himself. David offers counsel that's particularly relevant for nighttime. Tremble and do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. There's something about lying in bed in the darkness that invites introspection. The busy distractions of daylight fade away, and we're left alone with our thoughts, our memories, our regrets, our fears. David says to use that time wisely. Search your heart. Be honest about what you find there, but don't let that searching spiral into condemnation or despair. Tremble before God's holiness. Yes, but don't sin by losing sight of his mercy. Examine yourself, certainly, but then be silent. Stop the endless mental chatter. Cease the relentless self-prosecution. Be still. This silence isn't emptiness. It's expectation. It's creating space for God to speak, for his peace to settle, for his presence to be felt. In our noise-saturated culture, this kind of silence feels almost threatening. We fill every moment with sound. Music, podcasts, television, conversation. We're afraid of what we might hear in the silence, what thoughts might surface, what feelings might emerge. But David invites us into that quiet space, trusting that what we find there in God's presence will be healing rather than harmful, restorative rather than destructive. He continues, "Many, Lord, are asking, who will bring us prosperity? Let the light of your face shine on us." This feels remarkably contemporary. How many conversations revolve around prosperity, security, success, abundance? Who will make things better? What will give us the good life? Where can we find satisfaction? David cuts through all those questions with a simple request: let your face shine on us. He's not asking for circumstances to change, though he'd certainly welcome that. He's asking for God's presence, God's favor, God's smile. He's saying that nothing else matters as much as knowing God is pleased with him, that God's face is turned toward him in love rather than away from him in anger. This is what fills David with joy. Fill my heart with joy when their grain and new wine abound. Even when others prosper materially, even when his circumstances are difficult while theirs are comfortable, David can have joy because he has something more valuable than grain and wine. He has God's presence. He has the light of God's face. He has the knowledge that he's loved, cherished, valued by the Creator of the universe. That's enough. More than enough. And this brings us to the verse that has brought peace to countless troubled hearts across millennia. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Let's unpack this slowly because it contains profound wisdom for our sleepless nights and anxious evenings. First, notice the sequence. I will lie down and sleep. Lying down comes before sleeping. This might seem obvious, but it's actually significant. Sometimes we try to force sleep, to demand that our bodies and minds comply with our schedules. But David models a different approach. He lies down. He takes the physical posture of rest. He positions his body for sleep. Then sleep follows naturally. This teaches us something important about rest. We can't manufacture it through sheer willpower. We can't think ourselves into relaxation or worry ourselves into peace. But we can create conditions that invite rest. We can lie down. We can close our eyes. We can still our bodies even when our minds want to race. We can practice the physical forms of rest even before we feel the internal reality of peace. And often, the internal reality follows the external practice. The body leads the mind into quietness. The posture of rest invites the experience of rest. But David doesn't just say he'll lie down and sleep. He adds a crucial phrase, in peace, not in fear, not in anxiety, not in restless agitation, in peace. This isn't about his circumstances being peaceful. Remember, he still has enemies. The threats haven't disappeared. Tomorrow's challenges still loom. But he chooses peace anyway. He decides that despite everything swirling around him, he will rest in peace. This is an act of will informed by faith. It's a decision to trust that God's got this, even when evidence suggests otherwise. It's a choice to release control, to stop trying to manage everything, to believe that God can handle the night shift. And here's why he can do this. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. The word alone is critical. Not you and my security system. Not you and my careful planning. Not you and my personal efforts. You alone. God is sufficient for David's safety. Nothing else is required. No additional insurance policy. No backup plan. No contingency measures. Just God. Only God. God alone. This is where faith either breaks down or breaks through. Can we truly believe that God alone is enough for our safety? That we don't need to stay vigilant all night, monitoring potential threats, rehearsing responses to imaginary scenarios? That we can actually release our grip on control and trust that God will watch over us while we sleep? For many of us, this feels irresponsible. Shouldn't we be prepared? Shouldn't we think things through? Shouldn't we have a plan? Yes, during waking hours, we should be wise and prudent. But when we lie down to sleep, we have to trust. We have to let go. We have to believe that the God who never slumbers or sleeps will keep watch while we rest. The word translated safety here literally means to dwell securely or to live confidently. It's not just about physical protection, though that's included. It's about existing in a state of confidence, living from a place of security, dwelling in the assurance that we're held by someone greater than our circumstances. This security doesn't come from our situation being under control. It comes from being under God's care. And that care doesn't change based on our circumstances. It's constant, reliable, steadfast. Whether we're prospering or struggling, whether life is smooth or turbulent, whether we feel strong or weak, God's care remains unchanged. Throughout Christian history, Psalm 4 verse 8 has been woven into evening prayers and bedtime liturgies. Monks have chanted it at Compline, the final prayer service of the day. Parents have whispered it over sleeping children. Soldiers have repeated it before uncertain battles. Hospital patients have clung to it through long, painful nights. It has this power because it names what we most desperately need when darkness falls: peace and safety. And it locates both of those not in our circumstances but in God's character. Not in what's happening around us but in who is with us. When you lie down tonight, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, you can make David's declaration your own. You can say with confidence, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." Not because your life is perfect or your problems are solved. Not because you have everything figured out or under control, but because you have something better than all of that. You have God, and He is enough. He alone is enough. For safety, for peace, for rest, for everything. Psalm 23, the shepherd's tender care. Of all the Psalms, perhaps none is more universally beloved than the 23rd. It's recited at bedsides and gravesides, in hospitals and homes, by those who know God intimately and those who are just beginning to discover Him. Its imagery is so vivid, its promises so comforting, its message so profound that it transcends cultural boundaries and speaks to something deep in the human soul. We're going to walk through it slowly tonight, not rushing past familiar phrases, but allowing them to sink in, to saturate our weary hearts, to usher us into the kind of rest God intends. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Right away, David establishes a relationship. Not the Lord is a shepherd, but my shepherd. Personal, intimate, specific. This isn't theoretical theology or abstract philosophy. It's lived experience. David had been a shepherd himself. He knew what it meant to care for sheep, to lead them to food and water, to protect them from predators, to search for them when they wandered. When he calls God his shepherd, he's drawing on deep wells of experience and understanding. He knows what this relationship entails, what it requires of the shepherd, what it offers to the sheep. To call oneself a sheep might not feel particularly flattering. Sheep aren't known for their intelligence or self-sufficiency. They're vulnerable, easily frightened, prone to wandering, defenseless against predators. They need constant care and attention. But David embraces this identity. He's saying, I'm not the one in charge here. I'm not the shepherd. I'm the sheep. And that's exactly what I need to be. There's profound wisdom in this. We exhaust ourselves trying to be our own shepherds, to provide for ourselves, to protect ourselves, to guide ourselves. But we weren't designed for that role. We were created to need a shepherd, to depend on someone greater, to follow rather than always leading. And because the Lord is his shepherd, David can declare, I shall not want. This doesn't mean he has everything he desires. It means he lacks nothing he needs. The shepherd provides everything necessary for the sheep's well-being. Food, water, safety, guidance, care. The sheep doesn't have to worry about where the next meal will come from, or where it will sleep tonight, or whether it will be safe from danger. That's the shepherd's responsibility. The sheep simply has to follow, to trust, to stay close to the shepherd. Everything else is taken care of. Think about how this relates to sleep and rest. So often we lie awake worrying about provision. Do we have enough? Will there be enough? What if we run out? What if the resources dry up? What if needs exceed supply? These anxieties steal our sleep and rob our peace. But if the Lord is truly our shepherd, if we're truly his sheep, then provision is his responsibility, not ours. We can rest because he doesn't rest. We can sleep because he doesn't sleep. We can release our grip on control because he never releases his grip on us. He makes me lie down in green pastures. This line is richer than it might first appear. Sheep are notoriously restless creatures. They won't lie down if they're afraid, if there's friction in the flock, if pests are bothering them, or if they're hungry. A shepherd who has his flock lying down in green pastures has addressed every anxiety, resolved every conflict, provided everything needed for rest. The sheep are lying down not because they're forced to, but because every condition for rest has been met. They feel safe enough, peaceful enough, satisfied enough to rest. God does this for us. He addresses our fears, not by eliminating all threats, but by being present with us in them. He resolves conflicts, both external and internal, bringing peace where there was tension. He provides what we need, not necessarily everything we want, but everything necessary for our well-being. And he does this so that we can rest. The green pastures aren't just about having enough grass to eat. They're about having a place to rest, a space to be still, an environment where peace is possible. Notice that the pastures are green, not dried up, not barren, not sparse, green, lush, abundant. The shepherd has led his sheep to the best grazing land, to places of plenty rather than scarcity. This speaks to God's generosity, his abundance, his desire to give us good things. He doesn't lead us to barely adequate provision. He leads us to green pastures, to places where we can be satisfied, where we can rest in the knowledge that there's enough. He leads me beside quiet waters. Again, this imagery carries more weight than might be immediately obvious. Sheep are afraid of running water. They won't drink from rushing streams or turbulent rivers. They need still water, calm water, water where they can see what they're doing and feel safe. A good shepherd knows this about his sheep and leads them to the right kind of water, the kind that refreshes rather than frightens. God does the same for us. He doesn't force us into situations that overwhelm and terrify us. He leads us beside quiet waters, to places of refreshment that feel safe, that invite us to drink deeply rather than retreat in fear. The world offers us plenty of rushing streams, frantic activity, constant stimulation, endless demands. But God leads us to quiet waters, moments of peace, spaces of stillness, times of refreshment. These are where our souls are truly satisfied, where we find the kind of drink that actually quenches our deepest thirsts. This is especially relevant for nighttime rest. When we lie down to sleep, we need quiet waters, not rushing streams. We need stillness, not stimulation. We need calm, not chaos. God offers us this. He invites us to come away from the noise and find refreshment in His presence. To let the tumult of the day settle, the anxieties fade, the mental chatter quiet. Beside quiet waters, we can finally breathe deeply, drink freely, rest completely. He restores my soul. This is one of the Psalm's most powerful phrases. The word translated restore means to return something to its original condition, to bring back what was lost, to repair what was broken. Our souls get battered by life. We experience disappointments and betrayals, wounds and losses, failures and regrets. Pieces of us get chipped away. The shine dulls. The vitality drains. We need restoration not just once but continually, daily, regularly. God specializes in this kind of restoration. He doesn't just patch us up or cover our cracks. He restores us, brings us back to wholeness, returns us to what we were meant to be. This restoration happens in various ways. Through His Word, through worship, through community, through prayer, through rest. Yes, rest itself is restorative. When we sleep, God works on us at levels we can't even perceive. He heals what was damaged, repairs what was worn, strengthens what was weakened. Sleep isn't just physical renewal. It's soul restoration. For sheep, restoration might mean being set upright after falling over, having wounds tended, being rescued from danger, being brought back when they've wandered. God does all of this for us too. When we're stuck, unable to move forward, He sets us upright again. When we're wounded, He tends to our hurts with gentle care. When we're in danger, He rescues us. When we wander, He searches until He finds us and brings us home. All of this is restoration, and all of it happens best when we're at rest, when we've stopped struggling and started trusting. He guides me along the right paths for His name's sake. After restoration comes direction. God doesn't just heal us and leave us to figure out where to go next. He guides us. He shows us the right paths, the ways that lead to life and flourishing rather than destruction and death. And He does this not primarily for our benefit, though we certainly benefit, but for His name's sake. His reputation is tied to how He cares for His flock. If He shepherds poorly, if He leads His sheep into danger or leaves them without provision, His name suffers. But because He's a good shepherd, because He cares for His sheep with perfect love and wisdom, His name is honored. This matters for our rest because it means God has a vested interest in our well-being that goes beyond our personal comfort. He's committed to guiding us rightly not just because He likes us but because His character is at stake. He must be faithful to His nature as a good shepherd. He cannot be anything else. This makes our trust in Him more than wishful thinking. We're counting on Him to be who He says He is, and He always is. His track record is perfect. His faithfulness is absolute. His commitment to guiding us on right paths is unshakable. Then comes what many consider the Psalm's centerpiece. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. Notice the shift here. We've moved from green pastures and quiet waters to dark valleys. The journey with God doesn't mean we avoid all difficulty. We will walk through valleys. Some of them will be very dark. The imagery here is of a narrow gorge, steep walls on either side, shadows deep and threatening, dangers potentially lurking in the darkness. This is the valley of the shadow of death, places where mortality feels close, where we're acutely aware of our vulnerability, where fear has every reason to overwhelm us. But David says, even though, not if, not maybe, even though, it's a given that He'll walk through dark valleys. The question isn't whether He'll face them, but how He'll face them. And His answer is stunning. I will fear no evil. Not, I might be a little scared, but I'll try to be brave. Not, I'll be terrified, but I'll push through anyway. I will fear no evil. Present tense. Definitive. confident. How is this possible? How can someone facing genuine darkness and real danger claim to be without fear? The answer comes immediately, for you are with me. The shepherd doesn't just send his sheep through the valley with directions and good wishes. He goes with them. He's right there beside them, walking the same path, facing the same dangers, present in the same darkness. This changes everything. The valley is still dark. The dangers are still real, but the sheep aren't alone. And because the shepherd is there, because his presence transforms the situation, fear loses its power. The sheep can walk through the valley without being consumed by terror because the shepherd is near. This is the ultimate comfort for nighttime fears. When darkness falls and our minds start spinning with worst-case scenarios, when anxieties that seemed manageable in daylight suddenly feel overwhelming, when the shadows seem full of threats, we need to remember this truth. God is with us. He doesn't abandon us when things get scary. He doesn't wait at the valley's entrance while we traverse it alone. He walks with us, every step, through the darkest parts. He's there. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The rod was a club, a weapon the shepherd used to defend the flock from predators. The staff was a curved implement used to guide the sheep, to pull them back from danger, to help them navigate difficult terrain. Both of these tools in the hands of a skilled shepherd brought comfort to the sheep. They knew the shepherd was equipped to protect them, to guide them, to help them through whatever came. God's rod and staff comfort us too. He has the power to defend us against genuine threats. He has the wisdom to guide us away from danger. He has the ability to help us through situations that would overwhelm us on our own. Knowing this, we can rest. We don't have to be our own defenders or guides. We don't have to figure everything out or protect ourselves from every possible threat. That's the shepherd's job, and he's more than capable of doing it. Then the imagery shifts again, and we move from valleys to tables. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This has both literal and figurative meanings. Literally, shepherds would prepare grazing areas, clearing them of poisonous plants and dangerous pests. They'd table the land, making it safe for the flock. But figuratively, this is the language of hospitality, a feast of honored guests being served. God prepares a table for us. He provides for us. He honors us with his presence and provision. And he does this in the presence of my enemies. Our adversaries haven't disappeared. Challenges still exist. Difficulties remain. But right in the middle of all that, God spreads a feast. He provides abundantly. He shows us honor. He demonstrates his commitment to us in ways that are visible even to those who oppose us. This is remarkable. We might expect God to remove our enemies first, to clear the field of all opposition, then to bless us. But he blesses us while challenges still exist, demonstrating that his care for us doesn't depend on perfect circumstances. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. The anointing with oil had multiple purposes: healing, honoring, protecting. Shepherds would pour oil on sheep's heads to protect them from insects that might burrow into their ears and drive them mad. But anointing was also a sign of special favor, of being set apart, of being honored. God does both for us. He protects us from the things that would torment our minds and steal our peace. And he honors us, treating us as his beloved children, his treasured possession, his delight. The overflowing cup speaks of abundance, of more than enough, of generosity beyond what's merely sufficient. God doesn't give grudgingly or sparingly. He pours out blessing until it overflows, until there's more than we can contain, until we're so filled that we spill over onto others. This is how he provides. Lavishly, abundantly, generously. Not because we deserve it, but because it's his nature to give good gifts to his children. The psalm concludes with confident assurance. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That word surely carries weight. David isn't hoping or wishing or crossing his fingers. He knows. He's certain. Goodness and love, God's covenant faithfulness and loyal love, will pursue him. The word follow actually means to pursue, to chase after, to run down. God's goodness and love aren't passive attributes we might or might not encounter. They're active forces pursuing us, chasing us down, following us all our days. And the destination is secure, dwelling in the Lord's house forever. This isn't just about heaven, though it includes that. It's about continuous communion with God, ongoing fellowship in His presence, perpetual belonging in His household. We're not temporary guests or occasional visitors. We dwell there, we live there, we belong there, forever. As you prepare for sleep tonight, let this psalm wash over you. You have a shepherd. He provides everything you need. He leads you to places of rest and refreshment. He restores your weary soul. He guides you on right paths. He walks with you through dark valleys. He defends you against enemies. He prepares feasts for you. He anoints you with honor. He fills your cup to overflowing. His goodness and love chase after you, and you dwell in His house, safe and secure, forever. With all of this true, with all of this established, you can rest. You can sleep. You can let go of control and sink into His care. The shepherd's got this. He's got you, and that's more than enough. Hashtag Psalm 91, the shelter of protection. As night deepens and darkness settles fully around us, we turn to what many call the Psalm of Protection, Psalm 91. This ancient song has been a source of comfort and courage for believers facing every imaginable danger, from physical threats to spiritual assaults, from natural disasters to human violence. It speaks with particular power to those who struggle with nighttime fears, who find that darkness amplifies anxieties and makes dangers feel more immediate and threatening. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. The psalm opens with a conditional promise. Notice it says whoever dwells, not whoever visits occasionally or whoever drops by when convenient. Dwelling implies continuous habitation, ongoing residence, making one's home in a place. This isn't about sporadic connection with God or crisis-only prayer. It's about living in continual awareness of His presence, making our home in the shelter of His protection. The phrase Most High emphasizes God's supremacy. He's above everything else, higher than any power or authority or threat. Nothing reaches above Him. Nothing surpasses Him. Nothing can overcome Him. When we dwell in His shelter, we're not just protected by someone strong. We're protected by the highest authority, the supreme power, the one who is above all else. This matters when fears feel overwhelming, when threats seem insurmountable, when we're not sure any protection is adequate. God isn't just strong. He's the Most High. No one and nothing is higher, and those who dwell there will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. The word shadow here isn't about darkness but about shade, about protection from harsh elements, about relief from intensity. In the ancient Middle East, shade was precious, life-giving, essential for survival. Without it, the sun could be deadly. The shadow of a large rock or tree was a refuge, a place to escape the burning heat. God's shadow provides this kind of refuge for us. Under His protection, we find relief from the harsh elements of life, from the things that would drain and damage us if we faced them unshaded. The name Almighty speaks to God's unlimited power. He has all might, all strength, all ability. Nothing is too difficult for Him. Nothing exceeds His capacity. Nothing exhausts His resources. When we rest in His shadow, we're not depending on limited protection or finite strength. We're sheltered by one whose power knows no bounds, whose resources never run dry, whose ability to protect is never exceeded by the threats we face. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. This is personal testimony, individual declaration. The psalmist isn't reporting what someone else believes or repeating abstract theology. He's making a personal statement of faith. This is what I believe about God. He is my refuge, my fortress, my God. The possessive pronoun matters. This isn't general information about God. It's specific relationship with God. He's mine. I'm His. We belong to each other. A refuge is a place to run when danger threatens. A fortress is a stronghold that can't be breached, a defense that holds against attacks. God is both. When we need to flee from threats, He's our refuge, welcoming us in, providing shelter, keeping us safe. When we need to stand against opposition, He's our fortress, unshakable, impenetrable, absolutely secure. Whatever our situation requires, whether flight or fight, whether retreat or resistance, God provides what we need. That final phrase is crucial. In whom I trust. Trust is the key that unlocks these promises. Without trust, we might intellectually acknowledge that God could protect us while practically relying on our own resources. We might believe God is powerful while living as though everything depends on us. But trust means actual reliance, genuine dependence, real confidence that God will do what He says He'll do. It means we make decisions based on His faithfulness. We rest based on His protection. We sleep based on His watchfulness. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. The psalm moves into specific promises of protection. A fowler was a hunter who trapped birds, using hidden snares to catch them unaware. The imagery speaks to hidden dangers, traps we don't see coming, threats that surprise us with their sudden appearance. God promises to save us from these. He sees what we don't see. He knows what's ahead before we get there. He can protect us from dangers we're not even aware of, threats we couldn't possibly guard against on our own. The deadly pestilence refers to diseases, plagues, illnesses that can strike without warning and devastate whole populations. In the ancient world, with no modern medicine or understanding of disease transmission, plagues were terrifying. They seemed random, unstoppable, beyond human control. Yet even from these, God promises protection. Not necessarily that we'll never get sick, but that He holds us secure even in the midst of illness, that nothing can touch us without His permission, that our lives are in His hands regardless of what diseases rage around us. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. The imagery shifts to something intimate and tender. God is like a mother bird, spreading her wings over her vulnerable chicks, covering them completely, hiding them in the shelter of her own body. This picture of divine care is remarkably personal. God doesn't protect us from a distance, sending defenses from afar while remaining removed. He covers us with Himself. He draws us close, tucks us under His wings, makes His own body our shield. Birds will die protecting their young. They'll face threats head-on, putting themselves between danger and their chicks. God does the same for us. He doesn't send us into danger while He stays safe. He stands between us and every threat, absorbing what would harm us, taking onto Himself what would destroy us. This is most fully seen in Jesus, God incarnate, taking our sin and death onto Himself, shielding us with His own body from the ultimate threats of judgment and separation from God. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. A shield was personal defense, carried into battle, maneuverable, used to block incoming attacks. A rampart was part of a fortress's defensive wall, massive and unmovable, protecting from siege weapons and large-scale assaults. God's faithfulness functions as both. His character, His reliability, His covenant commitment to us, these aren't abstract qualities. They're our protection, our defense, our security. Because God is faithful, because He keeps His promises, because He never wavers in His commitment to those who are His, we're safe. This is especially powerful for sleep because sleep requires faith in tomorrow. When we lie down at night, we're trusting we'll wake up, that there will be a morning, that we're not releasing ourselves into oblivion. For those with anxiety, this can be a significant barrier to rest. What if I don't wake up? What if something happens while I'm unconscious? What if tomorrow doesn't come? But God's faithfulness is our shield and rampart. He who has been faithful every day of our lives will be faithful through this night. He who has kept His promises countless times will keep them still. He who has never failed us will not fail us now. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Here the psalm directly addresses nighttime fears. The terror of night includes everything that seems more frightening in darkness. Real threats amplified by limited visibility, imaginary dangers given substance by shadows, anxieties magnified by solitude and quiet. Night can feel vulnerable, exposed, dangerous. Our ancestors faced literal threats in darkness. Predators, bandits, enemies who attacked under cover of night. We face different but equally real nighttime terrors. Panic attacks, insomnia, racing thoughts, worst-case scenarios played out in imagination. The Psalm says we will not fear these. Not that the terrors don't exist or that we should pretend everything is fine, but that we need not be controlled by fear, need not be dominated by terror, need not let anxiety rule our nights. Because of God's protection, because of His presence, because of His promises, we can face night without fear consuming us. The terrors may be there, but fear doesn't have to be our response. The arrow that flies by day speaks to dangers in daylight hours, threats we can see coming. If nighttime brings invisible fears, daytime brings visible ones. Problems we can identify, challenges we can name, difficulties we know we're facing. But whether we can see the threats or not, whether we know what's coming or are surprised by the unexpected, God's protection holds. Day and night, visible and hidden, known and unknown, God shields us. Nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. This continues the theme of comprehensive protection. Pestilence that stalks in darkness might refer to diseases that seem to spread invisibly, that we can't track or predict. Plague that destroys at midday might speak to troubles that come in full daylight, that aren't hidden but are nonetheless devastating. The point is that God's protection covers all scenarios, all possibilities, all threats. Nothing falls outside His care. Nothing catches Him by surprise. Nothing overwhelms His ability to protect. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. This is a startling promise. Even when calamity is widespread, even when destruction is all around, even when thousands are affected, God can keep His own safe. This doesn't mean believers never face difficulties or that Christians are immune to suffering. The Bible and church history make clear that God's people experience their share of hardship. But it does mean that nothing touches us without God's permission, that we're held secure even in the midst of widespread trouble, that our ultimate safety is guaranteed regardless of circumstances. Think about how this applies to sleep. When we lie down at night, our conscious mind surrenders control. We become vulnerable, unable to defend ourselves, unaware of potential threats. This can trigger deep anxiety, especially in those who've experienced trauma or who struggle with control issues. But this promise speaks directly to that fear. Even when we're most vulnerable, even when we can't protect ourselves, even when thousands might be affected by various troubles, God's protection holds. We're safe in His care, safe to rest, safe to release conscious control and trust Him to watch over us. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. From the safety of God's protection, we'll see that justice is done, that wrongs are made right, that evil doesn't ultimately triumph. This isn't about gloating over others' downfall, but about the vindication of God's righteousness, the establishment of His justice, the ultimate triumph of good over evil. We can rest in the knowledge that God will make all things right, that injustice won't have the final word, that wickedness will not prevail. If you say, "The Lord is my refuge," and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent. This returns to the Psalm's opening theme with even stronger promises. The condition remains dwelling in God's protection, making Him our refuge not just occasionally but consistently. And the promise is comprehensive. No harm, no disaster. This doesn't mean we experience no difficulties, but that nothing ultimately harmful can reach us. Nothing that could separate us from God's love or destroy what He's building in us. Our tent in ancient nomadic culture was our home, our family space, our private domain. God promises that disaster won't come near it. Our most intimate spaces, our private lives, our inner world, these are all under His protection. We don't have to lie awake worrying about what might intrude into our safe spaces, what might threaten our peace, what might invade our refuge. God guards the boundary. He watches over our dwelling place. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. This verse became famous when Satan quoted it to Jesus during His temptation in the wilderness, attempting to manipulate Jesus into testing God's protection. But despite its misuse there, the promise itself is genuine and powerful. God commands His angels regarding us. He gives specific orders about our protection. And these angelic beings guard us in all your ways, not just in some situations, but in every circumstance, every path we walk, every decision we make, every place we go. This means we're never alone. Even when we feel isolated, even when we can't sense God's presence, even when we're not consciously aware of any supernatural protection, it's there. Angels carry out God's commands concerning us. They guard us according to His instructions. We're surrounded by a protection we can't see, upheld by a care we can't perceive with our physical senses. But it's no less real for being invisible. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. This speaks to God's care over even the smallest details, the minor hazards, the everyday dangers. Not just life-threatening crises, but simple stumbles, small accidents, minor injuries. God's care extends to all of it. He's concerned not just with our survival, but with our well-being in every aspect. The God who holds galaxies in place pays attention to where we put our feet. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Now the imagery shifts from defensive to victorious. This isn't just about God protecting us while we cower in fear. It's about God empowering us to overcome threats, to walk victoriously through danger, to triumph over what would destroy us. Lions and serpents represent powerful and deadly threats. Yet those who dwell in God's shelter don't just survive these threats. They overcome them. They tread on them, trample them, walk over them in victory. This is particularly relevant to nighttime fears because many of our anxieties are like lions and serpents. They seem powerful, dangerous, ready to devour us. But in God's strength, we can face them victoriously. They don't have ultimate power over us. They can't destroy what God protects. We don't have to be paralyzed by them or controlled by them. In God's strength, we can face our fears and overcome them. The psalm concludes with God Himself speaking, making first-person promises. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. The condition for protection is love for God and acknowledgement of His name. This isn't about earning God's favor through our affection. It's about the natural outcome of genuine relationship. Those who truly love God will seek His protection. Those who acknowledge His name will call on Him in times of need. And God promises to respond, to rescue, to protect. He will call on me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. This is the promise every anxious heart needs to hear. When we call, God answers. Not sometimes. Not if He feels like it. Not when we've earned it. He answers. Every time. Always. Without fail. And He doesn't just respond from a distance. He's with us in the trouble. Not waiting for it to pass before He shows up. Not arriving after the crisis has ended. Present. With us. In the midst of whatever we're facing. And He will deliver us. This deliverance might not look like we expect. It might not come on our timeline. But it's promised, certain, guaranteed. God will deliver those who call on Him. And more than that, He'll honor them. Those who trust Him, who depend on Him, who call on Him in their need, He honors them. Not because we're worthy, but because He delights in showing faithfulness to those who trust Him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. The promise concludes with satisfaction and salvation. Not just survival, but satisfaction. Deep contentment, fulfillment of what our hearts truly long for. And we'll see God's salvation, His deliverance, His rescue, His victory. We won't just hear about it or hope for it. We'll experience it, witness it, live in the reality of it. As you prepare to rest tonight, let these promises from Psalm 91 surround you like a fortress, cover you like wings, shield you like armor. You dwell in the shelter of the Most High. You rest in the shadow of the Almighty. His faithfulness is your shield. His presence is your protection. Angels guard your ways. God Himself has promised to answer when you call, to be with you in trouble, to deliver you, to honor you, to satisfy you with long life and show you His salvation. With all of this protecting you, enfolding you, surrounding you, you can rest. You can sleep. You can let go and trust that the God who never sleeps is watching over you with perfect love and infinite power. Psalm 3. sustained through the night. Let's turn now to Psalm 3, a morning psalm that nonetheless has much to teach us about rest and nighttime trust. David wrote this psalm during one of the darkest periods of his life, when his own son Absalom had rebelled against him and he was fleeing for his life. Imagine the pain, the betrayal, the fear. His child, the one he loved, had turned against him and was actively seeking to kill him. His kingdom was in revolt. His life was in danger. His heart was broken. And from this place of anguish and vulnerability, David wrote a psalm that has brought comfort to millions. Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? David doesn't hide his distress or pretend everything is fine. He's acutely aware of his situation, of the multitude of people who want to harm him. This isn't paranoia or exaggeration. His enemies are numerous and real. The threat is genuine. The danger is immediate. He's not making up problems or borrowing trouble. He's facing an actual crisis with clear and present danger all around him. This kind of honesty is essential for authentic faith. We don't have to minimize our troubles or pretend our struggles aren't that bad. We can come to God with the truth of our situation, however dire it might be. In fact, the Psalms model this kind of raw honesty repeatedly. God doesn't need us to sugarcoat our experiences or present a sanitized version of our struggles. He wants truth. He can handle our reality. He invites our honest prayers, even when what's honest is painful or frightening or overwhelming. Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. Now David reveals another layer of his pain. Not only does he have enemies seeking to harm him, but they're mocking his faith, questioning whether God will help him, suggesting that he's abandoned by the very one he's trusted. This is spiritual assault added to physical danger. It's one thing to face external threats. It's another to have your faith itself called into question, to have people suggest that God won't come through for you, that your trust is misplaced, that you're a fool for believing. This happens to many of us in our nighttime struggles. Our own thoughts become like these mockers, whispering doubts in the darkness. God won't help you. You're on your own. Your faith is foolish. Nothing will change. You're abandoned. These voices seem louder at night, more convincing in the dark, harder to resist when we're tired and vulnerable. David knew these kinds of thoughts, faced these kinds of attacks on his faith, and he shows us how to respond. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. Notice the contrast. Yes, many are saying one thing, but David declares something else. God is his shield, surrounding him with protection. God is his glory, his honor, his reputation, the source of his worth. God is the one who lifts his head, who gives him dignity and courage when circumstances would bow him down in shame and defeat. This is the power of confession, of declaring truth in the face of lies. David doesn't deny his circumstances, but he refuses to let circumstances define his reality. The deeper reality, the more fundamental truth, is that God shields him, honors him, lifts him up. Whatever people say, whatever appears to be true, this is what's actually real. God is with him, God protects him, God values him. When we struggle with nighttime fears and anxieties, we need to practice this kind of truth-telling. Yes, acknowledge the circumstances. Yes, be honest about the challenges. But then declare what's more true, what's more real, what's more fundamental than any circumstance. God is our shield. He surrounds us with protection. He honors us as his beloved children. He lifts our heads when shame or fear or despair would bow us down. I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. David moves from confession to confidence. He calls out and God answers. Not might answer, not could answer, not hopefully will answer. He answers, present tense, definitively, without question, and he answers from his holy mountain, from the place of his authority and power, from the seat of his sovereignty. When God answers, he's not just offering an opinion or making a suggestion. He's speaking from his throne, from the place of ultimate authority. What he says goes. What he promises will be. This is crucial for sleep. We need to know that when we cry out to God, he hears us and responds. We're not praying into the void, hoping someone might be listening. We're calling on a God who has committed himself to answering those who seek him. He hears every prayer, notices every cry, responds to every call, and his answers come from a place of absolute authority and unlimited power. What he promises, he will fulfill. What he says, he will do. I lie down and sleep. I wake again, because the Lord sustains me. Here's the verse that makes this psalm so powerful for nighttime prayer. David, in the midst of crisis, surrounded by enemies, fleeing for his life, his kingdom in revolt, his sons seeking to kill him, says, I lie down and sleep. Not, I try to sleep, or I hope to sleep, or I toss and turn all night. I lie down and sleep. Present tense. Matter of fact. As if it's the most natural thing in the world. And then he explains how this is possible. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. He can sleep because he trusts he'll wake. He can let go of consciousness because he believes God will preserve his life through the night. He can rest even in danger because he knows God's sustaining power holds him. The Lord sustains means God upholds, supports, maintains, keeps. God doesn't just watch passively while we sleep. He actively sustains us, holding our lives in his hands, maintaining our breath, keeping our hearts beating, preserving our existence moment by moment. This is extraordinary when you think about it. David had every reason to stay awake, to keep watch, to remain alert. His enemies were real. The danger was immediate. Common sense would say, don't sleep, stay vigilant, keep watch. But David understood something deeper than common sense. He understood that his life was in God's hands, that no amount of human vigilance could protect him if God didn't preserve him, that God's keeping was more reliable than his own watchfulness. So he slept, he rested, he trusted God to sustain him through the night. We need this same perspective. So many of us lie awake at night trying to protect ourselves through worry, attempting to solve problems through mental rehearsal, working to maintain control through vigilant attention. But David shows us a better way. Trust God's sustaining power and sleep. Let God handle the night shift. Release control to the one who never sleeps, never slumbers, never fails in his vigilant care. I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me on every side. The numbers grow. It's not just many foes now, it's tens of thousands. They're not just opposing him. They're assailing him, attacking aggressively, coming at him from every direction. This is overwhelming opposition, impossible odds, complete encirclement. By any logical calculation, David should be terrified. Fear would be the reasonable response. But he declares, I will not fear. This isn't naive bravado or denial of reality. David knows exactly how outnumbered he is. He's not underestimating the threat or pretending the danger isn't real. He's making a choice, an act of will informed by faith. He will not give in to fear. He will not let terror control him. He will not be dominated by anxiety even though circumstances would justify it. Why? Because he's choosing to focus on God's power rather than his enemies' numbers, on God's protection rather than his own vulnerability, on God's promises rather than his circumstances. This is what faith looks like in the middle of the night when fears assault us from every side. Anxieties about health, finances, relationships, future, past, present. Worries that surround us, hem us in, attack from every direction. In those moments, we make the same choice David made. I will not fear. Not because the threats aren't real, but because God is more real. Not because the situation isn't serious, but because God is more powerful than any situation. Not because we're brave, but because we trust a God who is braver than our fears, stronger than our enemies, more faithful than we can possibly imagine. Arise, Lord. Deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. David moves into imprecatory prayer, calling on God to act against his enemies, to deliver him from those who seek his harm. This might seem jarring to modern sensibilities. We're uncomfortable with prayers that ask God to harm others. But we need to understand what David is doing here. He's not taking vengeance into his own hands. He's not plotting how to destroy his enemies. He's releasing the situation to God, asking God to act, trusting God's justice rather than pursuing his own revenge. This is actually an act of faith and restraint. David could try to fight his enemies himself, to take matters into his own hands, to pursue justice through his own efforts. Instead, he asks God to handle it. He calls on God to deliver him, trusts God to deal with the wicked, releases the outcomes to God's sovereignty. This is what enables him to sleep at night. He's not carrying the burden of making everything right. He's given it to God and trusted God to handle it. We need to do the same with whatever troubles keep us awake. Instead of rehearsing revenge scenarios, planning how we'll defend ourselves, or trying to orchestrate outcomes, we can pray, Lord, you handle this. You deal with these situations. You bring justice. You deliver me. I'm releasing this to you. And then we can rest, knowing we've given our burdens to the one who is both able and willing to bear them. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. David ends with confidence and communal prayer. Deliverance comes from the Lord, not from David's own efforts or anyone else's intervention. The source of rescue, the origin of salvation, the fountain of deliverance is God himself. And David prays blessing not just for himself but for all God's people. Even in his personal crisis, he maintains concern for the broader community, asking God's blessing on all who belong to him. This outward focus is healthy for nighttime prayer. When we're caught in anxious spirals, we tend to become intensely self-focused, obsessed with our own problems, consumed by our own fears. But following David's example, we can expand our prayers to include others. We can ask God's blessing not just for ourselves but for all his people. This shift in focus can help break the anxiety cycle, reminding us that we're part of something larger than our individual struggles, connected to a community of faith that spans time and space. As you reflect on Psalm 3 tonight, let David's example encourage you. He faced real dangers, genuine threats, overwhelming opposition. Yet he slept. He rested. He woke again sustained by the Lord. His circumstances didn't change overnight. The enemies were still there in the morning. But he was sustained through the night, protected while he slept, upheld by God's faithful care. The same God who sustained David sustains you. The same power that upheld him upholds you. The same faithfulness that saw him through the night sees you through your nights. You can lie down. You can sleep. You can wake again, because the Lord sustains you. Psalm 121, the watchful guardian. As we continue our journey through Psalms of rest and protection, we come to Psalm 121, one of the songs of ascent traditionally sung by pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem for feast celebrations. These travelers faced real dangers on their journey: bandits, wild animals, harsh weather, treacherous terrain. As they walked, they would sing these psalms, encouraging one another, reminding themselves of God's protection, fortifying their faith for the journey ahead. This particular psalm has become one of the most beloved songs of trust in all of Scripture, speaking powerfully to anyone facing a difficult journey or needing assurance of God's watchful care. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? The psalm opens with a question, and scholars debate exactly what it means. Are the mountains where help is found, or are they obstacles to overcome? Are they places of safety or sources of danger? In the ancient world, mountains could represent both. High places were associated with pagan worship, potential threats. But mountains could also be refuges, defensible positions, places to see danger coming from a distance. Jerusalem itself was in the mountains, so pilgrims traveling there would be heading toward mountainous terrain. Perhaps the ambiguity is intentional. Whatever the mountains represent, obstacle or refuge, threat or safety, the question remains, where does help actually come from? Not from the mountains themselves, not from any geographical feature or physical circumstance, not from anything in the created order. The answer comes immediately. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Help's source is God himself, not any aspect of creation but the Creator, the one who made the mountains, who formed heaven and earth, who spoke everything into existence. That's where help comes from. This is foundational for rest. If our help comes from circumstances, we can't rest when circumstances are difficult. If our security depends on external factors lining up perfectly, we'll never have lasting peace because external factors are always in flux. But if our help comes from the unchanging God, the eternal Creator, the one who made everything and rules over all, then we can rest regardless of circumstances. Because our help source is stable, reliable, constant, regardless of what's happening around us. The word translated maker literally means creator, the one who fashioned everything from nothing, who designed and built the universe. When we say God is maker of heaven and earth, we're saying there's nothing outside his creative power, nothing beyond his authority, nothing that exists apart from his will. Everything that is came from him. And the one who created all things is the one from whom our help comes. This should give us tremendous confidence. The God who made galaxies pays attention to our needs. The God who formed mountains cares about our journey. The God who created heaven and earth is invested in our well-being. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Now the psalm moves from general statement to specific promise. God won't let your foot slip. In mountainous terrain, on steep paths with loose rocks and uncertain footing, a slip could be fatal. Pilgrims walking to Jerusalem needed sure footing, steady steps, protection from falls. God promises exactly that. He watches the path. He guards the steps. He prevents the slips that could lead to disaster. But more than that, he never stops watching. He who watches over you will not slumber. Slumber is a light sleep, a dozing off, a brief inattention. God doesn't do that, ever. He doesn't take breaks from his watchfulness. He doesn't have lapses in attention. He doesn't get distracted or tired or need to rest. His vigilance is constant, continuous, unceasing. Every moment of every day and night he's watching, alert, attentive, aware. This is precisely what we need to hear when we lie down to sleep. We have to become unconscious. We have to stop being vigilant. We have to release awareness and sink into sleep's oblivion. This makes us vulnerable. We can't protect ourselves while sleeping. We can't monitor situations or respond to threats. But we don't need to, because God doesn't sleep. While we rest, he watches. While we're unconscious, he's alert. While we let go of vigilance, he maintains it perfectly. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The previous verse is repeated and amplified. Not just will not slumber, but will neither slumber nor sleep. Slumber and sleep, light dozing and deep unconsciousness, both are impossible for God. He never experiences any level of inattention or reduced awareness. His consciousness is always full, his attention always complete, his awareness always total. Nothing escapes his notice. No moment passes without his watchful care. And this isn't just true for Israel collectively. It's true for each individual Israelite, for each person who belongs to God's people. The God who watches over the nation watches over you personally. The God who guards his people guards you individually. The one who never sleeps maintains his sleepless vigilance specifically on your behalf. You're not just part of a general oversight. You're personally, individually, specifically watched over by a God who never, ever stops paying attention. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. Now the psalm gets even more personal and intimate. Not just God watches over people in general, but the Lord watches over you. You specifically, you personally, you individually. The sovereign Lord, the covenant-keeping God, the creator of heaven and earth, he watches over you. And he's not distant in his watching. He's not monitoring from afar like a security camera. He's your shade at your right hand, immediately close, providing protection and relief, positioned at your side. In desert climates, shade is life-giving, essential, precious. Without it, the sun can kill. With it, life is possible even in harsh conditions. God is that kind of shade for us. He doesn't eliminate all harsh conditions, but he provides relief in the midst of them. He makes life possible even when circumstances are difficult. And he's at our right hand, the position of honor and protection, where a bodyguard would stand, where a trusted companion would walk. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. This continues the imagery of comprehensive protection. The sun's harm by day is obvious. Heat stroke, sunburn, dehydration, death from exposure. But what about the moon by night? Ancient people believed the moon could cause various afflictions. Lunacy, literally moonstruck, fever, certain illnesses. Whether or not those beliefs were medically accurate, the point is protection from all harmful influences, both obvious and mysterious, both understood and unexplained. By day and by night, from seen and unseen causes, God protects his people. For us, this promise extends to all the things that threaten us, day and night, obvious and subtle. The stresses that wear us down during waking hours. The anxieties that assault us in darkness. The clear dangers we can name and the nebulous fears we can't quite articulate. The things we understand and the things that mystify us. From all of it, every bit, God protects us. Not necessarily by removing every threat, but by being our shade, our relief, our protection in the midst of whatever we face. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Here's one of Scripture's most comprehensive promises. The Lord will keep you from all harm. Not just some harm. Not just major harm. All harm. Every kind, every degree, every source. He watches over your life, your whole existence, your complete being. Nothing about you is outside his protective care. Nothing concerning you is beyond his watchful attention. Now, we have to understand this promise rightly. Believers throughout history have experienced difficulties, hardships, suffering, even martyrdom. So what does it mean that God keeps us from all harm? It means that nothing ultimately harmful can touch us. Nothing that can separate us from God's love or destroy his purposes for us. Nothing that can damage our souls or derail our destiny. We might experience temporary difficulties, painful circumstances, challenging situations, but the harm that truly matters, the damage that would actually destroy us, the destruction that would separate us from God, from that we are absolutely protected. The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forevermore. This final promise extends protection to all times and all activities. Coming and going encompasses all movement, all activity, all the rhythms of daily life. Going out and coming in, beginning and ending, departing and arriving. Everything we do falls under God's watchful care. And this protection isn't temporary or limited. It's for now and forevermore, for time and for eternity, for this life and for the next. Every day of our lives on earth and every moment of our lives in eternity, God's watchfulness continues without interruption. This is the security we need for sleep. Our coming and going includes lying down and waking up, entering sleep and emerging from it. God watches over that transition. He guards us as we slip into unconsciousness. He keeps us as we rest in sleep's vulnerability. He watches over us as we wake to face a new day. Coming and going, sleeping and waking, evening and morning. All of it is under his protective care, now and forevermore. As you prepare for sleep tonight, let Psalm 121's promises surround you. Your help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. He won't let your foot slip. He never slumbers or sleeps. He watches over you specifically, personally, individually. He's your shade at your right hand, close and protective. He keeps you from all harm. He watches over your life, your coming and going, now and forevermore. With this God watching over you, you can stop watching. You can close your eyes. You can rest. He's got the night shift. He never stops, never sleeps, never fails in his vigilant care of those he loves. Psalm 127. Sleep as God's love gift. We turn now to a shorter psalm, Psalm 127, which contains one of Scripture's most beautiful statements about sleep and God's provision. Attributed to Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, this psalm speaks to the futility of anxious striving and the beauty of trusting God's provision. In just 5 verses, it captures profound truth about rest, work, and the relationship between divine sovereignty and human effort. Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain. The psalm opens with stark realism about the limitations of human effort apart from God's blessing. You can work hard building a house, But unless God is in it, unless his blessing rests on it, unless he's actually the one building through your efforts, it's futile. The house might get built physically, but it won't accomplish what it's meant to accomplish. Similarly, guards can stand watch all night, maintaining vigilant surveillance, but unless God is actually protecting the city, their watching accomplishes nothing. Enemies could still break through. Disaster could still strike. The vigilance, however thorough, is ultimately insufficient without God's protection. This isn't saying human effort is useless or that we shouldn't work or maintain responsible vigilance. Solomon himself was a great builder, constructing the magnificent temple and establishing Jerusalem as a glorious capital city. He understood the value of work and planning and effort. But he also understood something crucial. Human effort alone, no matter how diligent, is insufficient. We need God's blessing. We need his involvement. We need his sovereign hand working in and through our efforts. Otherwise, for all our striving, we're laboring in vain. Think about what this means for nighttime rest. How many of us lie awake mentally building our houses and watching over our cities? Planning, calculating, strategizing, trying to figure out how to make everything work? We're attempting through anxious thought to accomplish what only God can accomplish through his blessing. We're trying to protect through worried vigilance what only God can protect through his sovereign care. We're striving in our minds to build and guard, when what we actually need is to trust the builder and the guardian, to release our striving and rest in his working. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves. This is the verse that makes this psalm so powerful for those struggling with sleep. Solomon observes a pattern. People rising early, staying up late, toiling anxiously, striving desperately to secure provision, working themselves to exhaustion trying to make sure they have enough. This was true in his time. It's even more true in ours. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, celebrates exhaustion, prides itself on sleep deprivation. We wear our lack of rest like a badge of honor, as if it proves our worth or demonstrates our commitment. But Solomon says this is in vain. The word means empty, futile, worthless. All this anxious striving, all this restless activity, all this desperate toiling, it accomplishes nothing of real value. Not because work is bad, Solomon wasn't lazy, but because anxious, restless, driven, compulsive work born of fear and insecurity doesn't produce what we think it produces. We think if we just work harder, stay up later, rise earlier, push ourselves more relentlessly, we'll finally have enough, finally be secure, finally be safe. But it doesn't work that way. More frantic striving just produces more exhaustion, not more security. And then comes the beautiful contrast. For he grants sleep to those he loves. Different translations render this differently. Some say, he grants sleep to his beloved. Others say, he gives to his beloved even in their sleep. The Hebrew is actually somewhat ambiguous, which might be intentional, suggesting layers of meaning. But however we translate it, the core message is clear. Sleep is a gift from God to those he loves. It's not something we have to earn through exhaustion or achieve through perfect conditions. It's something God gives, grants, bestows on his beloved. This is revolutionary for those of us who struggle with sleep. We often treat it as a mechanical process. If we just get the conditions right, if we just do the right things, we should be able to sleep. And there's some truth to that. Sleep hygiene matters, good habits help. But ultimately, sleep is something God gives. We can't force it or manufacture it or demand it. We can only receive it as a gift. And God gives this gift to those he loves, which means if you belong to God, if you're his child, sleep is one of his love gifts to you. Not a reward you earn, but a grace you receive. Some translations of that phrase suggest God provides for his beloved even while they sleep, giving them what they need without their anxious striving. This adds another layer of comfort. While you rest, while you're unconscious and unable to work or plan or strive, God is still providing, still working, still accomplishing his purposes. Your security doesn't depend on your constant vigilance and effort. God can take care of you even while you sleep. In fact, he specializes in working while his children rest, providing while they're unable to provide for themselves, accomplishing things they couldn't accomplish through their own efforts. This is the heart of Sabbath theology. God built rest into the rhythm of creation, not because we don't need to work, we do, but because we need to regularly remember that we're not the ones holding everything together. The world continued for a full day each week when Israelites rested. Provision continued when they observed Sabbath. God sustained everything without their anxious involvement. The lesson was clear: you're not indispensable. God's got this. You can rest. Every night, sleep invites us into a mini-Sabbath, a daily reminder that we're not in ultimate control, that our lives don't depend on our constant effort, that God sustains us even when we're completely unconscious and unable to do anything for ourselves. Sleep is humbling in the best way. It reminds us we're creatures, not the creator. We need to power down, to stop, to rest. And in that stopping, in that rest, in that surrender of control, God demonstrates his faithfulness by sustaining us, providing for us, working on our behalf even while we're asleep. The psalm continues with verses about children being a heritage from the Lord, arrows in a quiver, blessings that come from God's hand rather than human striving. The connection to the earlier verses about sleep might not be immediately obvious, but there's a thread running through. All good things come from God as gifts, not as rewards we earn through anxious striving. Children, like sleep, are gifts from God. We can't manufacture them through willpower alone. We can't force them into existence. We receive them, gratefully, as blessings from God's hand. This perspective transforms how we approach sleep. It's not something we have to achieve or perform or earn. It's not a test we can fail or a skill we have to master. It's a gift we receive, a grace we accept, a blessing we welcome from the hand of a loving Father who knows his children need rest. When we struggle to sleep, we're not failing or falling short. We're simply experiencing difficulty receiving a gift, which happens for many reasons. Anxiety, pain, worry, physical issues, mental health struggles, circumstances beyond our control. But the gift is still offered. God still grants sleep to those he loves. And you are loved. The invitation tonight is to release the striving, to stop the anxious building and watching, to cease the futile rising early and staying up late in restless toil. Instead, receive sleep as what it is, a love gift from your Father. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to be good enough for it. You don't have to create perfect conditions or achieve some standard of worthiness. God grants sleep to those he loves, and he loves you. Not because you're perfect, but because he's chosen to set his love on you. Not because you've earned it, but because his nature is love and he delights to give good gifts to his children. As you lie down tonight, remember Solomon's wisdom. Unless the Lord builds the house, builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, guards stand watch in vain. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling in anxiety and fear. But God grants sleep to those he loves. He grants it to you. Receive it as the gift it is. Stop striving. Stop anxiously trying to make everything work. Stop watching over your life with worried vigilance. The Lord is building. The Lord is watching. The Lord is providing. And the Lord grants sleep to his beloved. You are his beloved. Sleep is his gift to you. Receive it with thanksgiving and rest in his love. Psalm 62. Finding rest in God alone. As we move deeper into the night, we come to Psalm 62, a powerful meditation on finding our rest and security in God alone. This psalm, written by David, probably during another period of political turmoil and personal threat, speaks to the soul's need for rest that goes beyond physical sleep. It's about finding a place of interior stillness, a core quietness that holds steady regardless of external circumstances. This kind of rest enables physical sleep, but it's deeper than that. It's the rest of the soul in God. Truly my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Right from the opening line, David establishes where true rest is found in God. Not in circumstances being perfect, not in all problems being solved, not in every threat being eliminated, but in God himself. The word translated rest here can also mean silence or stillness. David's soul is silent before God, still in God's presence, at rest in who God is. Notice he says, "My salvation comes from him." Salvation here means deliverance, rescue, safety, well-being. Everything David needs for his security, every aspect of his salvation in the broadest sense, comes from God. Not from David's own strength or cleverness. Not from allies or armies. Not from circumstances or luck. From God. This is why his soul can rest. Because the source of his salvation is absolutely reliable, completely trustworthy, infinitely powerful. The word truly that begins this verse is significant. Some translations use alone or only. David is emphasizing that this is where rest is really found, truly found, genuinely discovered. Not in all the other things people chase after. Not in wealth or power or security or control. Truly, genuinely, really, authentically, rest is found in God. Truly, He is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. David piles up images of stability and protection. God is a rock. Solid, unmovable, dependable. God is salvation, deliverance, rescue, safety. God is a fortress. Protective, secure, defendable. With God as all of these, David can declare confidently, I will never be shaken. Not, I hope I won't be shaken, or, I'm trying not to be shaken. I will not be shaken. Present tense. Definitive statement. Confident declaration. This doesn't mean David's circumstances aren't shaky. In fact, the psalm makes clear that he's under attack, that people are conspiring against him, that his situation is genuinely threatening. But David himself, his core identity, his fundamental security, that won't be shaken. Because it's not rooted in circumstances but in God. And God is unshakable, so those rooted in God share in His stability. This is the kind of rest we need for sleep. Not circumstances being perfectly stable, they rarely are, but our souls being anchored in something unshakable, rooted in someone who cannot be moved, secured to a foundation that holds firm regardless of what storms rage around it. When we're connected to that kind of stability, we can rest even when everything around us feels chaotic. How long will you assault me? Would all of you throw me down? This leaning wall, this tottering fence. David turns to address his enemies, describing himself from their perspective as a leaning wall, a tottering fence, something that looks ready to collapse. They think he's vulnerable, weak, about to fall. They're assaulting him, trying to throw him down, convinced they can topple him. From the outside, it might look like they're right. David's position might seem precarious, his situation unstable. But David knows something they don't. His stability isn't based on what they can see. Yes, outwardly he might look like a leaning wall. His circumstances might resemble a tottering fence. But his actual security is hidden in God, rooted in the unshakable rock, anchored in the unchanging fortress. They can't see that. They're judging by appearances. But appearances aren't reality. The deeper reality is God's protection, and that's invisible to those who don't know God. We often feel like leaning walls and tottering fences. Our circumstances feel precarious. Our situations seem unstable. We look vulnerable, feel weak, appear ready to collapse. And if we judge by appearances, by how things look on the surface, we have every reason to be anxious and afraid. But David invites us to see past appearances to the deeper reality. Yes, outwardly you might look shaky, but inwardly you're anchored in God. And that makes all the difference. Surely they intend to topple me from my lofty place. They take delight in lies. With their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. David describes his enemies' tactics: deception, hypocrisy, speaking blessings while harboring curses. This is the nature of much opposition we face. Not always open, honest conflict but subtle undermining, hidden agendas, false friendships that mask real hostility. This kind of opposition is particularly draining because we can't even clearly identify it. People smile to our faces while working against us behind our backs. But then David does something crucial. He stops talking about his enemies and returns his focus to God. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from Him. This is a word to himself, a command he gives his own soul. Find rest in God, not in figuring out your enemy's schemes, not in defending yourself against their attacks, not in exposing their lies or vindicta, Ting yourself against their accusations. Find rest in God. Return your focus there. Re-anchor your hope there. Come back to what's actually true and reliable and stable. This is a practice we need to cultivate, especially at night when our minds want to rehash conflicts, replay difficult conversations, strategize about how to defend ourselves or prove we're right. David shows us a better way. Speak to your own soul. Command your own thoughts. Direct your own focus. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. Return there. Come back to center. Re-anchor in what's true. My hope comes from Him is the reason the soul can rest in God. Hope is expectation of good, confidence in positive outcomes, trust that things will work out. Where does that come from? Not from circumstances looking promising, they often don't. Not from having everything figured out, we rarely do. Hope comes from God, from His character, from His promises, from His track record of faithfulness. Because He is who He is, we can hope. Because He doesn't change, we can expect good. Because He's faithful, we can trust positive outcomes even when present circumstances suggest otherwise. Truly, He is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. David repeats the earlier declaration almost word for word, with one small but significant change. Before he said, I will never be shaken. Now he says simply, I will not be shaken. The present tense is even more immediate, more definite. I'm not being shaken. Right now, in this moment, despite everything, I stand firm. This repetition is important. We need to hear these truths multiple times. Once isn't enough. Our minds need to be reminded, reinforced, reassured. David doesn't just state these truths and move on. He comes back to them, repeats them, lets them sink in deeper. God is my rock. God is my salvation. God is my fortress. I will not be shaken. Say it again. Believe it again. Anchor yourself in it again. My salvation and my honor depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Now David makes explicit what's been implicit. Everything depends on God. Not just salvation but honor, reputation, standing. Everything David cares about, everything that matters to him, it all depends on God. This might sound frightening, putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. But it's actually tremendously freeing, because it means David doesn't have to manage everything, defend everything, protect everything. That's God's responsibility. David's identity, reputation, security, all of it is in God's hands. And God's hands are the safest possible place for them to be. God is David's mighty rock. Not just a rock, but a mighty one, emphasizing God's power and strength. And God is David's refuge, a place to run when danger threatens, a shelter when storms come. The imagery is comprehensive: stability, rock, strength, mighty, and safety, refuge. Everything needed for security is found in God. Trust in Him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to Him, for God is our refuge. Now David turns from personal testimony to communal exhortation. He's addressing everyone, all God's people. Trust in Him. Not just sometimes, not just when things are going well, but at all times, in good circumstances and bad, when life makes sense and when it doesn't, when you feel strong and when you feel weak. At all times, in every situation, under every condition, trust in God and pour out your hearts to Him. Don't hold back. Don't pretend everything is fine when it's not. Don't maintain a polished exterior while your interior crumbles. Pour out your heart. Tell God what's really going on inside. Express your fears, your frustrations, your anger, your confusion, your pain. Be completely honest. Hold nothing back. Because God is your refuge, you can bring everything to Him. You don't have to clean yourself up first or get your emotions under control or present an acceptable version of yourself. Come as you are, pour out your heart, and find refuge in His presence. This is especially important for nighttime prayer. The darkness has a way of bringing everything to the surface, all the emotions we've been managing during the day, all the fears we've been suppressing, all the pain we've been ignoring. Night can feel overwhelming because suddenly we're alone with everything we've been avoiding. David says, don't avoid it. Pour it out to God. Tell him everything. He's your refuge. He can handle your honesty. He wants your authenticity more than your composure. Surely the lowborn are but a breath, the highborn are but a lie. If weighed on a balance, they are nothing. Together they are only a breath. David puts human power and position in perspective. Whether low or highborn, rich or poor, powerful or weak, all humans are ultimately insubstantial. Like breath, here one moment and gone the next. Like nothing on scales, carrying no real weight. This isn't cynical or nihilistic. It's realistic. Apart from God, human power is temporary, human position is fleeting, human strength is inadequate. The point is that we shouldn't put our trust in people, whether in their favor when they're for us or in fear when they're against us. People are breath, here today and gone tomorrow. Their opinions shift. Their power wanes. Their influence fades. Building your security on human approval or human position is building on sand. It won't hold. But building your security on God, who is eternal and unchanging, that's building on rock. That will hold. Do not trust in extortion or put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them. David warns against trusting in dishonest gain or putting hope in wealth. Even if you acquire riches, even if wealth increases, don't set your heart there. Don't let material resources become your security. They're unreliable, temporary, inadequate for the deep needs of your soul. They can't buy you peace. They can't purchase rest. They can't guarantee your future or protect you from all harm. This is relevant for us because we're constantly tempted to believe that if we just had more money, more security, more resources, more control, then we could rest. But it's a lie. People with great wealth still struggle with anxiety. Those with extensive resources still experience insomnia. Financial security doesn't produce soul security. Only God does that. Only trust in Him, dependence on Him, relationship with Him, can give us the kind of rest our souls desperately need. One thing God has spoken, two things I have heard. Power belongs to you, God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love. And you reward everyone according to what they have done. David ends with a summary of what he's learned, what he knows to be true. Power belongs to God, not to human rulers, not to circumstances, not to any created thing. God has all power. He's sovereign over everything. Nothing happens outside His authority. Nothing exceeds His control. And with God is unfailing love. Not just power but love. Not just might but mercy. God's power is exercised in love. His sovereignty is driven by care for His people. He's not a distant, arbitrary force. He's a loving Father who has both the power to help and the desire to help. His love never fails, never wavers, never runs out. It's unfailing, constant, reliable, eternal. And God rewards according to what people have done, not arbitrarily or capriciously, but justly, fairly, rightly. This should give us confidence. God sees everything. He knows what's true. He understands what's really happening. And He will make everything right in the end. Justice will be done. Wrongs will be righted. Truth will prevail. We can rest in that knowledge, releasing our desperate need to make everything right ourselves. As you prepare for sleep tonight, follow David's example. Speak to your soul. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. Command your thoughts to return to Him. Direct your focus back to what's true. God is your rock, your salvation, your fortress. You will not be shaken. Your salvation and honor depend on God, who is your mighty rock and refuge. Trust in Him at all times. Pour out your heart to Him. He has all power. His love never fails. He will make everything right. In Him alone, truly, your soul can find rest. As we've journeyed through these Psalms tonight, we've encountered recurring themes, repeated promises, consistent theology about rest and God's protection. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture, exploring what Scripture as a whole teaches about rest, sleep, and the restoration that God offers to weary souls. Understanding the theological foundations of rest can deepen our ability to receive the gift God offers, to release our striving and sink into His care. Rest appears in Scripture from the very beginning. Genesis tells us that after creating the world in 6 days, God rested on the seventh. Not because he was tired, God doesn't get tired, but to establish a pattern, to model a rhythm for his creation. Work and rest, activity and stillness, productivity and recuperation. This wasn't optional for humanity. It was built into the very structure of creation. God made us to need rest. It's a feature, not a bug. Our limitations aren't flaws, but part of the design. When God gave the law to Israel, the Sabbath command was central. 1 day in 7, cease from work. Stop striving. Rest. This wasn't just practical advice about avoiding burnout, though it certainly had that benefit. It was theological instruction about dependence and trust. By resting 1 day each week, Israelites acknowledged that their provision didn't depend solely on their labor. God could sustain them even when they weren't working. The world wouldn't collapse if they stopped for a day. This required faith. It still does. The Sabbath pointed forward to something deeper than weekly rest. It was a shadow, a picture of a more complete rest that would come through the Messiah. Hebrews chapter 4 tells us that Jesus offers a Sabbath rest for God's people. Not just 1 day a week, but an ongoing rest for our souls. This rest isn't about ceasing from all activity, but about ceasing from the anxious, driven, desperate striving that characterizes life apart from God. It's about releasing the burden of trying to save ourselves, justify ourselves, prove ourselves, and instead resting in what Christ has done. This is why sleep becomes such a powerful picture of faith. When we lie down to sleep, we enact a parable of trust. We release control. We become unconscious and vulnerable. We admit we're not in charge, not able to maintain vigilance, not capable of sustaining ourselves through our own efforts. We depend on something beyond ourselves to keep us alive, to watch over us, to sustain us through the night. This daily dying to self-sufficiency, this nightly surrender of control, this repeated acknowledgement of dependence, all of this trains us in the posture of faith. The Israelites wandering in the wilderness learned this lesson through manna. God provided bread from heaven each morning, enough for that day. They weren't to gather extra out of anxiety about tomorrow, except on the sixth day to prepare for Sabbath. They had to trust that God would provide again the next morning. This required daily dependence, ongoing trust, repeated acts of faith. They couldn't stockpile enough to eliminate the need for trust. They had to wake each morning depending on God's fresh provision. Sleep works the same way. We can't sleep ahead, banking rest for future days. We have to receive it fresh each night, trusting God will grant it again tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. This prevents us from building self-sufficient security. We're forever dependent, constantly needing, perpetually relying on grace we cannot earn or store up or manufacture for ourselves. And this dependence is exactly where God wants us because it keeps us connected to Him, aware of our need, open to receiving from His hand. Jesus spoke often about rest and worry. In Matthew chapter 11, He invited the weary and burdened to come to Him for rest. Not physical rest only, though that's included, but rest for our souls. The soul's weariness comes from carrying burdens we were never meant to carry, striving to earn what's freely given, working to achieve what's already been accomplished. Jesus offers to exchange our heavy yoke for His easy one, our crushing burden for His light load. This isn't about doing less, but about doing things from rest rather than for rest, working from a place of security rather than toward it. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus commanded His followers not to worry about tomorrow, not to be anxious about provision, not to fret over material needs. Why? Because our Heavenly Father knows what we need and will provide it. Worry changes nothing except our peace. Anxiety accomplishes nothing except our exhaustion. We're invited instead to seek first God's kingdom, to prioritize our relationship with Him, and to trust that everything else will be taken care of. This is the pathway to rest. Not controlling all variables but trusting the one who does. The New Testament repeatedly connects rest with faith. Hebrews says we enter God's rest through believing. Unbelief keeps us from rest, not because God withholds it, but because we refuse to receive it. We keep striving, keep worrying, keep trying to manage everything ourselves. We won't release control long enough to receive the rest God offers. It's like drowning while refusing the life preserver because we think we should be able to save ourselves. Rest requires surrender, trust, an admission that we need help and can't do this on our own. Paul wrote about being anxious for nothing but instead presenting our requests to God with thanksgiving. The result? Peace that surpasses understanding guarding our hearts and minds. This peace isn't dependent on circumstances being perfect or problems being solved. It's a gift that comes when we stop carrying what was never ours to carry and instead release it to God through prayer. Thanksgiving is key. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, from our inadequacy to God's abundance, from fear to faith. The prophets spoke beautifully about God's rest. Isaiah wrote that in returning and rest we would be saved, that in quietness and trust would be our strength. But the people wouldn't have it. They wanted to flee, to work harder, to do more. And they exhausted themselves trying to solve problems only God could solve. The invitation was always there. Return to me, rest in me, be quiet before me, trust me. But it required releasing control, and that felt too risky, too vulnerable, too much like giving up. Jeremiah recorded God's lament over Jerusalem. I would have gathered you as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. The imagery is tender, protective, maternal. God offering shelter, safety, rest under his wings. But it required coming to him, staying close to him, remaining under his protection. Those who insisted on going their own way, maintaining their independence, refusing his shelter, they forfeited the rest he offered. Not because he withdrew it, but because they wouldn't receive it. All of this theological background matters for our nighttime rest because it reveals that sleep issues are often, at their core, faith issues. Not always. Sometimes insomnia is purely physiological, caused by medical conditions or medication effects or pain. But often, our struggle to rest reflects deeper struggles with trust, control, and surrender. We lie awake trying to manage what only God can manage, trying to control what's beyond our control, trying to solve what only he can solve. And we exhaust ourselves in the process. The invitation tonight, as every night, is to enter God's rest, to cease from the anxious striving, to release the desperate attempt to make everything work through our own efforts, to trust that God is big enough to handle what we release to him, faithful enough to watch over us while we sleep, loving enough to care about our needs as much as or more than we do. This entering into rest is a faith act. It's saying, I believe you're who you say you are. I trust you to do what you've promised to do. I'm releasing control and resting in your care. This doesn't mean we become passive or irresponsible. During waking hours, we work faithfully, plan wisely, act responsibly. But when we lie down to sleep, we acknowledge the limits of our responsibility and ability. We can't sustain ourselves through the night. We can't maintain vigilance while unconscious. We can't protect ourselves from all possible threats. We have to trust someone bigger, someone who doesn't sleep, someone who watches over us with perfect love and limitless power. That someone is God, and he's proven himself trustworthy across millennia, across countless generations, across billions of individual lives. The rest God offers isn't just about sleeping through the night, though that's part of it. It's about the deeper restoration that happens when we stop striving and start trusting, when we cease trying to be our own saviors and accept the salvation he offers, when we release the burden of self-justification and receive the righteousness he provides. This kind of rest transforms us from the inside out. It changes how we approach not just sleep but all of life. We begin to work from rest rather than for rest, to act from security rather than for security, to live from acceptance rather than for acceptance. In Christ, the rest God offers is already ours. We don't have to earn it or achieve it or become worthy of it. It's given freely to all who belong to him. The question is whether we'll receive it, whether we'll stop fighting and start trusting, whether we'll release our grip on control and open our hands to receive the gift. Tonight, the gift is offered again. The invitation stands. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened. Come and find rest for your souls. Lie down in green pastures. Walk beside still waters. Let me restore what's been depleted. Let me give you the sleep I promised to my beloved. As we prepare to close this time together, remember that the God who made you knows exactly what you need. He designed you to need rest, built it into your very structure, ordained it as part of his good creation. Needing sleep isn't weakness. It's humanity. Requiring rest isn't failure. It's how you're made. God isn't disappointed that you can't function perfectly without sleep. He expected that. He intended that. He wants you to rest, and He's provided everything necessary for you to do so. His protection, His provision, His presence, His promises. Everything you need to rest is already yours in Him. Receive it tonight as the precious gift it is. As we come to the end of this journey through the Psalms of sleep and restoration, let's rest for a few final moments in the promises we've explored. We've walked through green pastures and beside still waters. We've found shelter under divine wings and safety in an eternal fortress. We've heard God promise to watch over us, to sustain us, to never sleep while we rest. We've discovered that sleep is a love gift from our Father, that rest is found in God alone, that we're held secure by one whose faithfulness never fails. All of these truths are yours tonight, not as abstract theology or wishful thinking, but as solid, reliable, proven reality. Millions of believers across thousands of years have tested these promises and found them true. Countless weary souls have cast themselves on God's care and found Him faithful. Generation after generation has discovered that He really is a refuge, truly is a fortress, genuinely does watch over those who are His. And now it's your turn. Tonight, these ancient words become personal promises to you. The Lord is your shepherd. You lack nothing. He makes you lie down in green pastures. He leads you beside still waters. He restores your soul. He walks with you through dark valleys. He prepares a feast for you. He anoints you. He fills your cup to overflowing. His goodness and love pursue you all the days of your life. And you dwell in His house forever. You dwell in the shelter of the Most High. You rest in the shadow of the Almighty. He is your refuge and fortress. You trust in Him. He covers you with His feathers. Under His wings you find safety. His faithfulness shields you. You will not fear the terror of night or the arrow that flies by day. He commands His angels concerning you. They guard you in all your ways. God Himself promises to answer when you call, to be with you in trouble, to deliver you, to honor you, to satisfy you with long life and show you His salvation. Your help comes from the Lord, Maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you never slumbers or sleeps. He watches over you specifically, personally, continually. He is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day nor the moon by night. He watches over your life, your coming and going, both now and forevermore. God grants sleep to His beloved, and you are beloved. You don't have to earn rest through exhaustion or achieve sleep through perfect performance. It's a gift, freely given to those God loves. And He loves you, completely, unconditionally, eternally. His love isn't based on what you do or don't do, on whether you're good enough or productive enough or worthy enough. It's based on His character, His choice, His commitment to you as His child. Your soul finds rest in God alone. He is your rock, your salvation, your fortress. You will not be shaken. Your salvation and honor depend on Him. He is your mighty rock, your refuge. You can trust Him at all times. Pour out your heart to Him, because He is your safe place, your secure foundation, your unshakable anchor. Power belongs to God, and with Him is unfailing love. He rewards everyone according to what they've done, which means He sees everything, knows everything, and will make everything right in His perfect timing. In peace you will lie down and sleep, for God alone makes you dwell in safety. The Lord sustains you. When you lie down and when you wake up, He is there. His presence surrounds you. His protection covers you. His love enfolds you. You are never alone, never unguarded, never outside His care. Every moment of every night and every day, you are held in hands that will never let you go, protected by love that will never fail, sustained by power that will never diminish. As you lie down tonight, release everything you've been carrying. Let go of the worries that have been weighing you down. Put down the burdens that were never yours to bear. Stop trying to figure everything out, to solve every problem, to control every outcome. You can't. And you were never meant to. You're the sheep, not the shepherd. You're the child, not the father. You're the one who needs rest, and God is the one who provides it. Breathe deeply. Let your body relax. Feel the tension draining away. Release the tight grip you've been maintaining on control. Open your hands and let go. Everything you release, God catches. Everything you surrender, He receives. Everything you entrust to Him, He guards with perfect faithfulness. Nothing is lost when you give it to God. Everything is finally safe when it's in His hands rather than yours. Let your mind become quiet. The endless mental chatter can cease. The anxious planning can stop. The worried rehearsal of worst-case scenarios can end. Instead, let these promises fill your thoughts. Let these truths saturate your consciousness. Let these words of life and peace replace the words of fear and anxiety. God is with you. God watches over you. God loves you. God protects you. God sustains you. God grants you sleep as His beloved. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. No judgment, no frustration, just a patient return to truth. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down. He leads me. He restores me. Over and over, as many times as needed, return to these promises. Let them be the last thoughts you think as you drift toward sleep. Let them guard your mind, protect your heart, keep you in perfect peace as you trust in Him. You might not fall asleep immediately. That's okay. Rest isn't just about sleeping. It's about being at peace. You can lie in stillness, held in God's presence, even if sleep doesn't come right away. Let go of the pressure to perform even at sleeping. Just be still. Be at rest in His love. Sleep will come when it comes, and until then, you're safe in His care, held in His love, surrounded by His peace. God is not disappointed in you if you struggle to sleep. He's not frustrated with your restlessness or impatient with your anxiety. He understands. He knows how you're formed. He remembers that you're dust. He sees the physical issues, the mental health struggles, the trauma effects, the pain, the worries, everything that makes sleep difficult. And He meets you exactly where you are with compassion, with gentleness, with patient love that never gives up on you. He's not waiting for you to get it right before He'll help you. He's helping you right now in this moment as you are. His grace is sufficient for your weakness. His strength is made perfect in your inability. When you can't, He can. When you're weak, He's strong. When you're struggling, He's sustaining. Your difficulty doesn't disqualify you from His love or His help. If anything, it positions you to experience His grace more fully, to know His strength more intimately, to understand His faithfulness more deeply. So rest tonight, not in your ability to rest perfectly, but in His ability to hold you securely. Sleep tonight, not because you've earned it or achieved it, but because He grants it to His beloved. Be at peace tonight, not because circumstances are perfect, but because the God who holds you is perfect in love, perfect in power, perfect in faithfulness. As the night deepens and silence settles around you, know that you're not entering darkness alone. God is there ahead of you, beside you, surrounding you. His presence fills the darkness with light. His peace transforms the night into a place of refuge. His love makes the dark hours sacred rather than scary, precious rather than threatening, restorative rather than restless. Tomorrow will come with its own challenges and demands, but tomorrow is tomorrow. Right now, this moment, this night is for rest. It's for restoration. It's for receiving the gift of sleep that God offers to His beloved. And you are beloved, deeply, completely, eternally. Nothing can change that. Nothing can diminish it. Nothing can separate you from the love of God that surrounds you right now, holds you right now, keeps you right now. The God who painted stars across the sky watches over you tonight. The God who set boundaries for the seas holds you securely. The God who knows every hair on your head cares about your sleep, your rest, your peace. He's not too busy managing the universe to notice you. You're not too small or insignificant to matter to Him. You are His beloved child, and He delights in giving you good gifts. Rest is one of those gifts. Sleep is one of those gifts. Peace is one of those gifts. Receive them tonight from His loving hand. Before we close, I want to invite you to engage with this channel if you found peace in these words tonight. If this time has brought you comfort, if these psalms have quieted your anxious heart, If you've experienced even a moment of genuine rest in God's presence, would you consider liking this video? Your like helps this content reach others who are lying awake right now, searching for peace, desperately needing to hear these promises. It tells the algorithm that this matters, that people need this, that these ancient words still bring life and hope and rest to weary souls today. And if you'd like more content like this, more scripture readings to help you sleep and find peace, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, you join a community of believers who are discovering together what it means to rest in God's care, to trust His promises, to find peace in His presence. You'll be notified when new videos are uploaded, giving you a library of peaceful content to turn to when nights are difficult and sleep feels impossible. In the description below, you'll find timestamps if you want to return to specific psalms and links to other videos that might bring you comfort and peace. There are prayers for anxiety, meditations on God's faithfulness, scripture readings for difficult seasons, all designed to help you experience the rest God offers. Feel free to explore, to find what speaks most powerfully to your specific needs, to use these resources as tools in your journey toward deeper rest and trust. And now, beloved child of God, it's time to rest, time to release the day, time to let go of everything you've been carrying, time to sink into the arms of the one who loves you more than you can imagine, who watches over you more carefully than you can comprehend, who holds you more securely than you can understand. The Psalms we've explored tonight aren't just beautiful words. They're living promises from a God who keeps His word. What He says, He does. What He promises, He fulfills. What He commits to, He accomplishes. He has committed Himself to you. He has promised to never leave you or forsake you. He has pledged to be with you always, even to the end of the age. He has declared that nothing can separate you from His love, not height nor depth, not present nor future, not powers nor principalities, not anything in all creation. You are held by love that will not let you go, protected by power that cannot be overcome, sustained by faithfulness that will never fail. So lie down in peace. Close your eyes in confidence. Relax into rest. The God who never sleeps is watching over you. The shepherd who never abandons his sheep is guarding you. The Father who loves you perfectly is holding you. You can rest. You can sleep. You can let go. He's got you. He's got everything. And His perfect love casts out all fear. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He turn His face toward you and give you peace. May you sleep deeply tonight, held in His everlasting arms. May you wake refreshed tomorrow, sustained by His faithful care. May you truly know that you are loved, you are safe, you are His, now and forever. Amen. Good night, beloved. Rest well in the arms of the one who loves you most. The Lord watches over you tonight and always. Sleep peacefully. God is with you.